it's like the Bible's trying to get you to see something that I think is very hard for a lot of believers, and that is every situation you come across in life is not going to be black and white. There's not always a right or wrong in how to handle different situations, you know? But I will say, you know, for me, a lot of the times I get emails or something like that, it's around situations like that where people, they just can't handle the idea that one Christian might react one way, one Christian might react the other way, and one of them may not be wrong, you know, because the Bible doesn't spell out exactly what you're supposed to do when your company goes woke and affirming. Are you supposed to quit?
Right.
You know, are you making money for them and they're giving it away to some, or can you work there and be a missionary? You know, it's like Christians are going to have two different reactions to that, but some people just can't handle living in that kind of ambiguity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of some examples, you know, of maybe different areas that we could apply this to, real specifically in like church leadership, you know. Like I remember recently somebody was talking to me about like, you know, how larger churches typically begin to organize in terms of like staff structure, you know, got lead pastor and executive pastor and just all these different like titles and levels and everything. And I was just like, and I feel like it surprised the person. I was like, hey, you know, none of that's like in the Bible, right? Like
Right.
it's all of us just trying to figure out, yeah, like there's a concept of like, you know, pastors and deacons and there's obviously a real kind of general, the way the church should be organized. But in terms of like, well, who exactly reports to who? And do you have a leadership team? Do you have an executive team? Do you have one like how all that stuff works, who the campus pastors report to? I'm like, all of that's in the category of wisdom. You know, we're trying to learn from others. We're trying to do our best. We're trying to learn from our own mistakes.
Right.
You know, I also think about for us, I know one that I can point to real specifically is, you know, we had like a connections process at Mercy Hill, like most churches do. You know, and what stands behind the connections process is very much a biblical unchanging thing, which is like, okay, we're trying to make disciples. We're trying to give people a pathway to grow in their faith. You know, when they come into Mercy Hill, maybe they get baptized here and they're trying to figure out what to do next, you know. It was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in at Mercy Hill, we realized like, hey, we're doing our best with this connections process, but there's probably a much better way to do this. And we basically just took what some other churches were doing, Church of the Highlands, for example, some other different churches, and we just kind of reinvented our connections process, which is our weekender process now. That I think has been very helpful for us. It's been very helpful for other churches. And that is in that category, I think, of like gray area, wisdom. You know, we kept the biblical principle of like, hey, we're trying to disciple people. We're trying to give people the next step. But there's a lot of different ways that you can connect people in your church.